I'd like to welcome William Baloyi, who is the Deputy Government Spokesperson. Tate Baloyi, thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you very much, and thanks for having us as Hilaal TV. We are quite happy and appreciative of the opportunity you are giving us.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Mr. Baloyi, were you taken aback, shocked, surprised at the early declaration that was taken? Because I must confess, and I've been speaking to, whether it's your colleague Vincent Makwenya, whether it's, Minister of Communications Swali Malatsi, and I told them the same, thing, that this was quite unprecedented for a declaration to happen so early within the G20 Leaders Summit.
I might not join in to say we were surprised. Safe to summarize it the way you have put it, to say it's unprecedented. But to me, it's a sign, a benefit of the hard work that we put since December 2024, when we took over from Brazil. Through his leadership, President Matamela, we have been hard at work to make sure that what we have presented as our theme is supported by the evidence and the facts. So that hard work paid. But however, I think I agree with you when you say it's unprecedented, because you remind me of when Indonesia was hosting. They couldn't even agree on the final text of the declaration. It had to proceed to India. So the way we dealt with it here, I think we represented the aspirations, one, of the continent, two, of the global south, but three, of the economically depressed countries. And that's how it found expression and resonance with the leaders here.
I've read the declaration and I've seen commitments that are coming from the global north. There's two countries I want to mention because they hold permanent Security Council and veto powers within the UN, within that. United Kingdom and France. And I've always maintained that they need to play a major part in helping the global south. From discussions amongst your colleagues, from your understanding, are you confident that these declarations, these pledges, are going to come from two major countries like the UK and France?
Maybe let me indicate something that probably might have not found resonance expression at the highest level. That our relations with EU, European Union, when it comes to issues of energy, renewable energy and so forth, we are on par. As the European Union has invested a lot of resources in terms of money to supporting the projects of South Africa on matters of energy.
Rare earth minerals. I see there's a deal that was signed on Friday with Ursula von der Leyen and President Ramaphosa. How important is that in terms of the trade deals which the European Union and South Africa, this was long discussed already back in January. So that deal, the significance of it.
That is quite important for us, in the sense that, one, as we speak, most of the industries that are part of our Johannesburg Stock Exchange must check they are mostly European Union, so European based. So what we are doing is to further amplify that practicality of those companies doing business in South Africa. And there is an exchange program that continues to see what further can we do to make sure that our economies, they speak to each other, but also South Africa is pushing the issue of beneficiation to say, on behalf of the African continent, we have realized that we are well endowed with minerals. But however, that doesn't show in terms of the improvement of the lives in those. So these are part of those. And today, as we speak, on the very last day, there is a plenary. One of the critical issues that is being looked at, apart from artificial intelligence and decent work, is the issue of the just and fair critical minerals distribution. That's quite important.
How do we balance, Mr. Baloyi, between this deal over here, that whichever multinational comes, or how the European deals with it, that where the minerals are coming from, which is going to come from South Africa or Africa, that the governments of those countries can make the calls or make the decisions which will benefit the citizens? Because generally, we have multinationals coming in and they rule the roost with these decisions. So can we have a supposed consensus that governments must act in the interest of its own people.
Exactly. And that is what we call the beneficiation process. To say, instead of them being just mined and shipped away, let us start a process of beneficiation where it will ultimately create jobs, provides a tax base for those countries, and then improves their lives, create jobs for the people of the regions that are involved. And that is what as South Africa we are championing. If you remember, we have also placed at the center the issue of debt relief. Because if you look at most financial institutions, they are owed by African countries and the global south, some of those countries. But when they have to repay those debts, the interest is quite high. And as South Africa, we are saying, let there be equality in terms of the interest of payment, back payment, so that the people on the ground can benefit from that.
Mr. Baloyi, I want to touch on the United States of America. I saw a headline on the Sunday Times saying it did not go Trump's way. Simple. Motley Makanya, in his piece in the City Press, said that President Ramaphosa handled himself with distinction and was not bullied by Donald Trump. I know this has been a discussion that has dominated this entire week.
Yeah.
Did the US make a mistake in the way it handled itself in this over here? Because even till Thursday, President Ramaphosa was saying we're still open to the United States coming and taking the baton from South Africa.
I think there is something that I need to explain. That our hosting of the G20, it's not a South African G20. We are talking about the world. So anything that is related to the G20 represent the aspirations of the world. So South Africa, we hosted it because of the confidence that we have. Now, coming to the issue of the US. Any response is not directed specifically at South Africa. It's directed at the world. Then it's up to the world to decide at the level of
wait,
G20.
Mr. Baloyi, I have to catch because Donald Trump's been attacking South Africa this entire year. It started with AfriForum going to Washington, D.C., making these false claims.
Not AfriForum. It started 2016. There was another party.
Yes,
that
no,
went
I
in
remember.
2016,
I remember. Now, but the thing is that even Donald Trump this week said there are bad things happening in South Africa. So for me, that already indicated that he was attacking South Africa. I know you said the world. It's an attack on the world. But let's call it for what it is, Mr. Baloyi. He actually went ahead and attacked South Africa.
Coming to South Africa, firstly, we have made it very clear to America that they are ill-informed. Let me not say America. Let me say the current
US government,
administration.
right, yeah.
They are not familiar with the South African situation. But what is disappointing is that they get that information from South African entities, which I might not mention in name, which means that then it goes a little bit to the past where we come from. But however, let me dwell into it. Let me not dwell into that. No lesser person than the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Guterres, who was here in this same thing. He said he doesn't see any those signs of genocide. So we thought we are not going to entertain that. But secondly, remember, you don't get into an agenda of people that you don't understand. Thirdly, America has massive intelligence communities and sources. They even have an embassy here. Why didn't they get that? That there is genocide here. So that's why we thought that because it's not true, we'll make it official to present it to the American administration. But how they interpret it, we leave it to them. Like, for example, the countries that are here, more than 40.
Yes.
They don't subscribe to what that leader it's seen South Africa through. But the other thing is that we have just completed a very successful G20 summit. They were not part, not because they were not invited. They reached out to President Ramaphosa to say we want to be part of the closing ceremony. What does that say? That says they recognize that South Africa is hosting the G20 and it's happening in South Africa. That's why they send us even the list of the names of the people that have to be accredited. We don't have a problem with that. However, the 2 days summit is a leaders summit.
Summit, yes.
So it's only at the level of leaders. But the people that they were requesting to come, they are not leaders.
Yes.
Hence, we couldn't undermine the authority, the stature of the G20
And the
leaders,
leadership.
and then
And that's of course the
accommodate
mandate that has been, of course, set out with regards to this 1 minute, or actually 45 seconds, Mr. Baloyi. You said successful. Is that how we define South Africa's G20 presidency for this year?
more than successful. I think we achieved more than what we thought. As you did in your opening thing, the mere fact that the declaration was unanimously adopted on the very first day, it shows the success, the credibility, but the leadership that we have provided.
William Baloyi, absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, and thank you for informing the those that follow the platform, because you provide most needed information. Thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure. That's William Baloyi, Deputy Government Spokesperson for the Republic of South Africa.